Peace, love and light, family. It's your girl Morgan Renee Myers tuning in with another reading of Feeding the Soul by Tabitha Brown. I am on both Instagram and Facebook, and this will be uploaded to YouTube. So we are picking up where we left off. We're on chapter 16. The title of this is entitled Strong and Wrong, and we're going to get right into it. It starts off with a quote by Marion Wright Edelman that says, "You're not obligated to win. You're obligated to keep trying to do the best you can every day." Have you ever felt so strongly about something that every fiber of your being said it was true, and then you learned that you're 1,000% wrong? Whew, I know how that feels, but let me help you with it. Nobody can tell you how to feel, okay? Know that. But you can feel strongly about something and still be wrong. Yes, your feelings are valid. They are. But just because your feelings are valid doesn't mean the way you express those feelings is always right. It is so important that we recognize the difference between being right and just being caught up in our feelings. Ladies, y'all listening, because I feel like this be us. Sometimes we have to step back from a situation and say to ourselves, am I just caught up in my feelings or am I right? Everybody is saying I'm wrong about this. Maybe I am. You can feel however you want to feel, baby, but that does not make you right. And you have to be okay with that. When I was growing up, I thought my family was like the Cosbys. Every Thursday night at 8, we'd sit down as a family and watch the Cosby Show, and I'd think, yeah, that's us. We're perfect, just like Cliff, Claire, Sandra, Denise, Vanessa, Theo, and Rudy. Part of the reason I believe this was that my parents never argued in front of us. They never let us know how bad things actually were between them. But then Halloween 1992 came and my parents separated. I was in 8th grade. I was so hurt. My perfect picture of our family was shattered, and the devastation was incredibly hard. They would later divorce, and just as I had begun to wrap my mind around them never being together again, my father remarried. I was in 11th grade by then and angry. I felt like my stepmother was the reason my parents had separated, and I held a grudge against her for the longest time. With all the anger I was holding inside, I needed a place to put it. As a daddy's girl, I could never be mad at my daddy, right? I certainly wasn't going to lash out at my mother. I needed a person to blame for the destruction of my perfect family. The new woman who had entered our lives was the perfect candidate. That's what humans do sometimes, right? We find someone to blame when we are hurt instead of trying to understand the situation. But honey, then I grew up and got married and began to have challenges in my own marriage. Troubles that could have easily led to divorce if we hadn't chosen to stay together and work it out. And that's when I got a clue. As a child, it's impossible to understand what we call grown folks' business. At 13 or 15, you don't understand what it takes to maintain a happy and healthy marriage, and you shouldn't understand it, baby, because you are a child. It's usually once you begin your own relationship journey that you have to stop and say, yes, I was angry. Yes, that made me sad. But yes, I was wrong. I was wrong to hold a grudge against my stepmother for as long as I did. I was in my 30s by the time I finally woke up one day and thought, now, Tab, wait a minute. This ain't even about her. My parents were just not happy with each other anymore. They were two human beings predestined to come together to create my sister and me, to be the vessels through which we came into this world. But then they grew apart. Maybe we were the only reason they were ever together. Maybe it was God's intention all along for them to not stay together forever. Maybe they weren't meant to grow old together and be married forever. Maybe they were simply together in order to bring forth me and my sister to establish great character in both of us because they raised us with what we needed to navigate this world. I don't know, honey, but what do I know? My stepmom did not deserve the years of side eyes I gave her and grudges I held against her. I was never overtly disrespectful, but I would never allow her to get close to me. I had to apologize. I ended up doing a video with her and my dad where I apologized to her for being a young girl who did not understand what marriage and relationships were all about and who had wrongfully judged her. I said, I am so sorry if I ever gave you a hard time or made you uncomfortable because it had nothing to do with you. Your relationship with my father and my mother's relationship with my father were simply not my business. She accepted my apology with tears and love. She also apologized right back to me for feeling the same way. It was such a beautiful moment of love and acceptance. My parents were certainly my whole life as a child, but how they lived their lives and the choices they made were none of my business. I had to understand that although my feelings of separation and frustration and longing were valid, I was very wrong in how I expressed them. I didn't take the time to learn about this woman. I didn't take my time to grow up before I made a judgment call. I was wrong, and I had to be okay with that. Being okay with being wrong is powerful all in and of itself. It means that you've learned, that you're growing. This experience also made me respect my own relationship with Chance even more. I wasted so much time believing some story, some narrative that I had created in my head about my stepmother. And at the end of it all, she is one of the best things that ever happened to my daddy. She cares for him, takes care of him. She loves him just endlessly. And now, after I work through my stuff, we are such good friends. Sometimes we'll feel so strongly about someone without ever knowing the truth, without ever having a conversation with them, without ever telling them how we truly feel. We will go months and months, maybe even years, missing out on opportunities to grow in a relationship with someone or even with the people adjacent to the situation. I know my strong feelings put a strain on me and my dad sometimes. My dad would try to please me and try to please her at the same time. I could have easily prevented all that by taking the time to understand. Today, because I don't have those issues with my stepmother anymore, my daddy doesn't have to do a dance whenever we are both in the room. He doesn't have to be on one side, uncomfortable in his home, uncomfortable in his marriage. We're now all on the same page. Honey, let me say it again. Nobody can tell you how to feel. Whatever you feel or felt, especially as a child, should be honored. But your feelings won't always make you right in a situation. Take a minute to get still. Look for the source of your emotions. Get to the root of the issue. Deal with whatever you believe the situation says about you, which is usually why our feelings are so strong in these scenarios. Then acknowledge what you're feeling and find an honest way to deal with it. That way, you can really start to understand the whole situation, not just your feelings, but those of the other people involved. Very good. TSA, tab service announcement. Some folks love to blame everyone or anyone they can, and then one day they run out of folk to blame. It's easier to blame someone, though, right? It's easier to be mad. It's easier to point the finger at everyone except ourselves. But think about this. If the person you are blaming truly did something to you that caused you hurt and pain, how is blaming them going to heal you? What makes you think that holding on to it is going to make you feel any better? That's right, it won't. So let's stop playing the blame game. Let's focus on doing the work to heal ourselves. No, it doesn't let the person off the hook. It actually just takes our attention away from them and places it onto ourselves. Don't let a person or circumstance hold you hostage in the blame prison. You heard me, baby. Blame is a prison that gives you the illusion of freedom. You think you feel better about what happened or where you are, but really you are bound in your misery. Get out of the blame game, baby. Look yourself in the mirror and say no more. Yes, they did that thing, but despite it all, you're still here. Only you can control how you move forward. Blaming them is never going to help you get unstuck. Well, all right, Tab. So the name of that chapter, this was chapter 16, called Strong and Wrong. Good word, Tab. Good word. As I stated, I will have this uploaded on my YouTube as well, or you can catch this replay. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm about to go on my garden group and read some of the chapters out of this book called Dirt Seeds and Urban Spaces, A Beginner Guide to Outdoor Vegetable Gardening in Urban Communities, written by someone that's local in my area named Dr. Barbara Butler. She's from Philadelphia, but she's in North Carolina at the moment, and I met her, and she's awesome. So I'm going to read this in my gardening group and share it on my page. But thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll see you again, guys, again soon. Peace.